Okay, I think we're live. Hopefully everybody's doing alright. Hopefully it'll be a good stream. I think it will be. And how's everybody doing tonight? Looks like we've got some good individuals here already. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Very excited to have a good show tonight. I'm very excited about this. Might be a little choppy at the beginning, and I apologize. I'm just doing a little bit of an upload right now. So there might not be 100% great. I'm actually debating if I want to just pause that or stop that. Just to... Yeah, you know what? I think I'm going to abandon it. Just to give us a full... Yeah, I'm just going to leave. I'll continue that later on this evening. And that should give us a little bit more bandwidth. There we go. That's a little bit better. All right, how's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? This week was a little bit on the tough side, not going to lie, but got some good reviews coming up for you guys. Tomorrow's review is going to be really good. It's a Patreon's review, looking at a band that I've been asked to look at a number of times. So this is going to be very fun. I have heard quite a few other Nektar band albums. I think I have 2 or 3 in my collection right now. Let me just have a quick look to see what we got. Let's see here. I'll need to cue this up anyway, because right now I'm just playing the old Mannheim. It is indeed Nektar time. Or is it Nektar? Nektar. Yeah, let's see here. I know I definitely have Journey to the Center of the Eye. I also have A Tab in the Ocean. I believe those are the main ones that I have. So it looks like I have the 2 predecessing albums. I don't have Remember the Future. I've listened to Remember the Future a couple of times, but I haven't really dove into it, so I'm pretty excited to get into it. Yeah, I think I'm actually going to go for the 2013 release, the 40th Anniversary Deluxe Edition. So, pretty excited for that. Yeah, so I've got Tab of the Ocean, Journey to the Center of the Eye, and I haven't... Yeah, this will be the first one of that. So, I'm going to actually thank all my sponsors. Oh, you really enjoy my my Zio. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm loving that album. I'm really, really loving that one. And you really enjoyed my Birds of Passage. I'm glad. Yeah, it was my first Kafagan album review that I did. And the first Kafagan album I listened to. So, very glad that you enjoyed it. Hopefully you guys will enjoy tomorrow's. Didn't have a whole lot to say, but... it's still a good time. Alright, so I'm going to thank my patrons. It's what I usually do. So this one's going out to Brent. And if you guys haven't already, you should check out his reviews. He does album reviews as well. Mainly progressive rock. He's got a fantastic collection. So check him out. Really, really dig his stuff. He was the one that sponsored this video, so thank you so much, Brent. It really, really does mean a lot. Yeah, if you guys don't know, I've entered a little bit of a difficult time right now, so Brent helped me out a little bit, and this is my way of saying thank you outside of just continuously saying thank you. So yeah, I asked him if he wanted to listen to an album, and he said that he wants to listen to this one, so I'm all game for that. I want to thank all my other patrons as well. Matthew, Aiden, Andreas, Isaac, Anthony, Rick, Kevin, Ted, Bryson, Hemulin, Chris H, Joggin Chum, GRV, Rush 2112, Joseph, Charles, Brian, Mark, Grace, Brian, Jeffrey, Axel, Joseph, Travis, Kelvin, Tomas, Mark, T-Dog, Austin, Depandian, Battery Acid, Didier, there's Brent again, Robert, Patrick, William, and Sean. So thank you all for your amazing, amazing support. Really, really does mean a lot. And if you want to be cool like those people, I've left my Patreon link down below. So yeah, let's get into this. Montforti. Yes, I accidentally called him Manaforti or Manforti, and it's Montforti. Great guy, great guy. Really passionate about this stuff for sure. And it looks like Third Degree is in here. Third Degree has done some amazing stuff as well. Welcome. I'm glad that you're able to come on out. All right, so let's dive into Remember the Future. I'm going to listen to the 40th anniversary edition. We'll cut it right after parts 1 and 2, so we won't go into like the radio edits and all those fun things. We're just going to listen to the Remembering the Future part 1 and 2. Otherwise, I have a whole evening that I need to get to. Because I'm going away next week, so I'm queuing up all the videos for next week and the beginning of the week after. The music in the background right now is just some Mannheim Steamroller. So far I've found that they're not as stringent to copyright, so if I play these guys in the beginning and the end, it kind of bookmarks it a little bit. And I've also found that it's kind of my signature music at this point. Mark was good to all of us prog bands when in Chicago. That's fantastic. I really wish I can get out to see you guys eventually, but I don't got the money. Anyway, we're going to dive into Remembering the Future. So this is Remembering the Future Part 1 from Nektar. I think that's I usually just call it Nektar, but I'm pretty sure the way that's spelled is supposed to be like Nektar. We're coming into Remembering the Future. It's interesting because, so growing up, just a little bit of history. Yes, Eduardo, you got it. Fresh Air 3, right on the money. Mannheim is good live. Yeah, I've seen them live a couple of times. One as a Christmas concert for sure. I'm just going to turn that up just a bit. Yeah, this is good stuff. Alonzo, I saw that question before. I don't know. Is it Solfjan Stevens? I'm not familiar with them, so I can't comment on that. I'm sorry. Anyway, growing up, my dad had these 2 albums that I obsessed over. The first was Tab in the Ocean from Nektar, and the other one was a Grobschnitt album. Which one was that one? Let me just have a quick look. Grobschnitt. There's another album. Grobschnitt. Oh, it's not on Spotify. How about that? Looks like they just got some live material. Interesting. Anyway, it was a Grobschnitt album. And I just obsessed over them because of their album artwork. And so that's kind of my long and far away way of talking about how I got into Nektar. I'm pretty excited to get into this one. I love how how set in the 70s they are, but in a good way, you know? Like very experimental. Like I haven't heard anything since or before or since. It looks like a lot of people are saying that this is one of their all-time favorite albums. And I know, Brent, that this one's one of your all-time favorite albums. And a lot of people are saying that this one's one of their favorite Nektar albums. So I'm pretty excited about that. Alonzo's saying that Stevens sings Mystery of Love from the film Call Me By Your Name. Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense. Eduardo, I found a lot of original transfers to CD were not good. Specifically, I remember I got Fresh Air 2 on CD after listening to it countless times on record. And I remember listening to it on CD being like, this is just not good. It is not good at all. A lot, and that's why I'm listening right now to the 40th Anniversary Deluxe Edition, because I have a feeling they did a little bit of reworking to make sure that the transfer was closer to the original pressing of the record. I hope everybody's having a good night. Hoping everybody had a good week. I hope to do another live stream later on in the week. like maybe Sunday or Tuesday or something like that. We'll see. We'll see. What's my favorite Moon Safari album? Boy, it keeps going back and forth between Doorway to Summer and Bloom Judd. Because I love Bloom Judd. Bloom Judd, like the first disc of Bloom Judd is my favorite album of all time. Well, not all time, I shouldn't say that. But like, you know, it's my favorite Moon Safari work from start to finish. I have a little bit of an issue with the second CD though. Because I find the second CD, like I love The Other Half of the Sky, but I do think it's a little on the long side. I think it wanders a little too much, you know? And I'm getting into the grooves, you guys. I'm just getting into the grooves. Yeah, whereas like The Doorway to Summer is just a solid work from start to finish. So if Bloom Judd was released in 2 parts, kind of like how they envisioned him laid back and being, I probably would like the first disc of Bloom Judd the most, and then very closely second by The Doorway to Summer. But I will agree, Lover's End Part 3 is one of their best songs. I think I would probably say that Lover's End Part 1, which goes straight into A Kid Called Panic, might be my favorite section of music that they've written. But Lover's End, the album, again, getting into those grooves. I love that guitar work. It's so crunchy. Yeah, I really should check out Their Other Side, because that came out, what, last year? I think it was? Let's see, when did that come out? I think it was last year. So I'm pretty sure latest release. Or was it this year? Oh, it was this year! Oh, I need to get into that. Okay, I'm gonna make a note of that. It's just a little too long. It's like over an hour. But I'll get into it, for sure. Yes, I'm just looking at Eduardo's comment. Eduardo? Yeah, I think so. They do a beautiful rendition of Cross the Rubicon on Live in Mexico album. I also love, I don't know if it was the Gettysburg Address. No, the Gettysburg Address did The Other Half of the Sky. I think Live in Mexico did do Lover's End Part 3. So, yeah. I love that, like, chugginess. And also, I appreciate that people have commented that it came out in 2020. So maybe that will be the album that I've been waiting for a while. This is fun. I'm liking this. Yeah, good. If it's one of the better albums of this year, like I've been mentioning on my reviews, I haven't seen a whole lot of really good stuff out of this year. Like, I know tomorrow we've got 2 great albums coming out. We've got A Day at the Beach from Airbag, which I'm really excited about. And I know Protest the Heroes album came out today, but they've only released it, as far as I can see, on their Bandcamp. Oh, I was getting a little feedback there. And I couldn't listen to it continuously. Like, my computer would always go to sleep. So I'm trying to figure out a way to listen to that uninterrupted, because unfortunately my computer's sound isn't the greatest. I always have to use a Bluetooth speaker, and it's an older computer, so the Bluetooth is kind of gone. But yeah. What do you think about doing more Neil Morse? What do you think about Neil Morse doing a sequel to Sola Scriptura? I mean, that's fine. I really love Sola Scriptura. It's on Apple Music. Of course it's on Apple Music. I unfortunately only have Spotify. Like, that's my go-to. So I'm hoping that it'll transfer over to Spotify soon. Because I know the singles are on Oh, is it actually being called Sola Is it Gradia? I'm all for it. Like, I really like Sola Scriptura. Like, I love the themes, I love the story, I mean, you know, how can you not love the story? And I love the music that's found within it. Yeah, I mean, anything that man does, I'll listen to, because I find I don't want to say he's hit and miss, but there are some works that I like a lot more than other works. So, yeah. It means grace only. Ah, interesting. Well, there you go. That's good to know. That's good to know. Thank you. I love the good vibes that this gives off. Good vibes only tonight. Good vibes only tonight. It's the story of Paul. Interesting. I'm wondering how that would be, because I thought Sola Scriptura was the Lutheran Reformation. So if it's the story of Paul, would it be a sequel or a prequel? That'll be interesting. Anyway, whatever he chooses to do, I'm always going to be there for it. Yeah. Have I heard Kansas's debut? Like their debut album? I don't think I have. The only ones that I've heard from Kansas are Leftovertures, unfortunately. I'm a little ignorant when it comes to their discography, which is a little bit of a shame. I love this build-up. That bass line, though. That foundation. And then we're back to the good vibes. Only good vibes. Good vibes only today. Yeah, the good vibes only. Kansas has a new album coming out on the 17th. Yeah, I heard that they're coming out with a new album. I've been debating whether or not I want to like go through and actually listen to all of Kansas's albums as preparation, or if I'm just going to go straight up and yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. Again, that build-up. Oh, shoot. I always figured that this reminded me of something. What was it? I'm trying to remember what this reminded me of. It's something that will come back to me. Yeah, I find like a lot of the... I love that. A lot of the like American progressive rock bands were kind of overlooked. I always called them like, you know, like Styx and Boston and Kansas. Like they all had their like one track that really got big, or I guess in Boston's case, the one album. But yeah, I think like, again, I haven't heard all of Kansas's stuff, but from what I hear, they've got a really solid discography. Yeah. Recycled is also very good. Oh, okay. I'm guessing that's a Kansas record there, Brent? Few groups can boast such epic runs. From the debut to Monolith, wow. Battery Acid. I would recommend checking out their debut song American and Leftovertures. Those are my favorite. Yeah, I've heard Leftoverture, and I really, really like that one. That's the one with Carry On, My Wayward Son. So I really, really like that one. And I think... yeah, we're coming into the last leg of the first part of it. I'll have to check those out. I'll at least check out those before I review the new one, just so that I have some grounding for it. Yeah. Yeah, I find... Battery Acid. A lot of people are saying that 80s stuff is eh. I find a lot of bands from the 70s put out some really weird stuff in the 80s. Like, my buddy and I were trying to figure out any band that didn't put out some weird stuff in the 80s. And the only one that we could kind of think of was like Peter Gabriel. Recycled is from Nektar. Oh, okay. Oh, right. That's the latest one from Nektar. Yeah, the other side. Well, there's the other side, which is the latest one. And then Recycled is good, eh? Okay, let's see what is. Ah, the one from 2012. Oh, well, that's the deluxe edition, so I don't know if that's... Yeah, I guess that's the deluxe edition. Cool. Yeah, because the only artist from the 80s that didn't go like really, really weird was Peter Gabriel, even though he went more pop with like Us and but it wasn't like straight up weird, like it was still kind of in his wheelhouse. Yeah, I'm trying to think of anybody else that we kind of thought of that didn't go weird. Recycled is from 76. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I'm only going off of what Spotify is saying, so it's kind of what they have here. So yeah, they've got like Down to Earth on 74, Magic is a Child 77, and then it jumps to The Prodigal Son in 2002, and then it's all their kind of, I guess, reworked and deluxe stuff. Recycled looks fun though. Yeah, 75. So good. A lot of good stuff. I'm loving this running bass that's like got the, that's at the bottom of this track. I really like that. Yeah, and Prime Reviews, I do find that's kind of what happened. Like in the 80s, they dipped down, but then they all kind of came back in the 90s. Like even like Pink Floyd, who I'm not a big fan of their 80s work, and that covers like The Wall, The Final Cut, and Momentary Lapse of Reason. When they came back in, I believe it was 94. Okay, I know that guitar riff there. That one I definitely know. I don't know if somebody else used it, but I do know that from somewhere else. But yeah, with like Division Bell, they came really back in the 90s. Even with Rush, right? Like I'm not a big fan of their 80s stuff. But then once they, came back in the 90s, I started to really get into that as well. Other bands that I've covered, like Yes, I wasn't a big fan of their stuff in the 80s. But then, The Ladder and a few other ones from the 90s, like I was starting to get back into. I feel like in the 80s, they were still really trying to experiment and push their music forward. But... like I just didn't like some of what they were doing, right? And then in the 90s, they kind of looked back and like, okay, what worked and what can we continue to do? Even like ELO, for example. I really love like, and so that's the end of part 1. We're going to get into part 2. Like ELO stuff in the 80s wasn't all that great. But then the stuff that like Jeff Lynne was putting out in the 90s and even the 2000s, I really started to like. So yeah, I mean, it's a little, I don't know, it's difficult to find like a band that kind of survived the 80s. I mean, even Genesis, my favorite band, right? Like, even though the music they were putting out for the most part was still solid in my ears, like it's taken me a while to really like get into that. I still feel like a lot of their stuff in the 80s just was kind of meh. And in the 90s, like We Can't Dance and Calling All Stations, they're not bad. They're not good either, but I shouldn't say that. There are a number of tracks off of We Can't Dance that I really like. So, yeah. You Blaspheme, Rush's 80s is the best. I mean, I do know a lot of people that love the 80s Rush. I do. Like, I had a friend of mine that I used to work with whose like 3 favorite albums were Power Windows, Grace Under Pressure, and Signals. Like those were, whenever anybody asked him what his 3 favorite Rush albums were, he would always say that, like Bam Bam Bam. So like I totally get it and I understand why. It's just not for me. Like I love the stuff that came before and after. So yeah, Brent is asking about the 80s King Crimson. Not a big fan. Like on my King Crimson worst to best, my 3 lowest albums from them in order were Beat, 3 of a Perfect Pair, and Discipline. I couldn't get into it. It was too weird. And I mean, part of it is just I don't I don't really like Adrian Below's singing style. I think he has just especially in the 80s, like in the 90s, like when he put out Thrack and the Construction of Light. I really liked his singing styles then, but I just found like the 80s, his singing style was very off note, and that was a really big thing in the 80s, the singing off note, and I just can't get on board with that. I'm so sorry. I know people love it, but I can't. I just can't. I don't know, it gripes me the wrong way. You know, it's like immediate nails on a chalkboard. And I also find like I can't like get into the music. It's like I really almost have to sit down and like concentrate on it, which is fine. Like I don't mind sitting down and concentrating on music, but like unlike other albums that I have to sit down and concentrate on, I can't just put it on in the background and just let it be background music. So it's like music that begs to be listened to, you know? Yes, exactly like Talking Heads. Not a big fan of Talking Heads for that exact reason. But I've heard really good, Bill, I've heard really good things about his solo stuff. Same with Peter Sinfield? Because I have a couple of Peter's solo stuff, and his stuff is brilliant. So, yeah. I know I went on a little bit of a tangent there. I just recently updated my my Instagram because just yesterday I finally got Power to Believe on vinyl. So now I'm just missing 2 of their live albums that have been released on vinyl. I have all their studio albums, so I'm very excited about that. I'm a completionist. So, William, welcome. Glad you can come on board. We're listening to some good vibes. Listen to some good vibes with Nektar. Yeah, I love this album in terms of just having the good vibes, you know? That's what it's all about right now. It's just sending out some good vibes. 90125 is a good Yes album. Okay. Not a big fan of it, but okay. Young Lions is a great album by Below. Okay, I'll have to check it out. I haven't, like I said, I've heard good things, but I've never actually, because I know he's a brilliant guitarist. I mean, that was part of the reason why Fripp got him on board, is because he's a brilliant guitarist. But I don't know, I never got into his singing style. So, yeah. I haven't even kept track of the stats. I'm usually a statty guy, and I don't know how many people are with. 19! Holy jeez. Welcome, everybody. I'm glad we had 22 people at one point. This is amazing. I guess people really like their Nektar. Welcome. Looks like we're actually on a little bit of a downward spiral, a little bit. But yeah, we're having a good time tonight. We're having a really, really good time tonight. When are you going to complete your Zappa vinyl collection? I don't think I ever will, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think I only have 3 of his albums, now I'm thinking about it. I've got Guitar, the live album, the double live album. My dad has Zootallures, so technically that's his. And I've got Hot Rats. So I know it's going to take forever, and so I just kind of put that on the back burner. That's not my my big one. Trying to think, because last year I finally completed my Pink Floyd album collection. I think the only album that I need from them right now that they've released on record or vinyl is Pulse, the live album, but that thing's like over $100, and that's a little too much for me. And plus, I'm not a big fan of that live album. Like, I have Delicate Sound of Thunder, which I like. Yeah, so I completed that one. And then I set my sights on doing King Crimson. At first, I was going to be like, oh, next one I'm going to do is Rush. And I got their, like, from everything from their first album all the way up to Moving Pictures. And I was like, okay, I think I'm good. I don't need anything else. Plus, like, every other album from them to buy now is, like, ridiculously expensive. So I set my sights on King Crimson and slowly built myself up there. The one I am trying to do, though, is Gentle Giant. So, yeah, I think I'm missing Acquiring the Taste. That's the main one I'm missing. I know I'm also missing like Citizen and the missing piece in Interview, but I'm not in a big rush to get those. Like I think I'll get those after I get Acquiring the Taste as mainly a completionist thing. But yeah, right now my main mission is try to find Acquiring the Taste original pressing, not a re-release. So yeah. Do I plan on reviewing any other Kafagan albums? Yeah, probably. I'll probably include those in my quarter notes, though. I don't think I'll do like a full-on album review, because I've listened to two albums that came before this. Which one were those? Let me just double check that. Let's see here. I spelled it wrong. Let's see here. How do you spell that? Kafagan. That's it. I missed the R. Carfagan. There they are. Getting funky. Yeah, so I listened to Messages from Afar, First Contact. Loved it. I also listened to Echoes from Within Dragon Island. Also liked it. So yeah, I might be listening to that a little bit more. Yeah, a little bit more, and I'll include those in my quarter notes. Stumbled on Remember the Future on vinyl last year and fell in love with it. More of a prog metal fan, but still love it. That's great. Yeah, because I know I've got Journey to the Center of the Eye and The Oceans of the Tab, or Tab of the Oceans, or whatever that was. Sorry, I should know it. I grew up with it, but. You know. All you need on Rush is signals, and then you're cool. Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking if I can find it cheap, then I'll do it. But unfortunately, all I can find is like the re-release ones, and the re-release Rush stuff is like $30 to $40. I'm like, ugh. I do have the remix by Vapor Trails, not on vinyl though, on CD. And it is better than the original pressing. So if I can find Vapor Trails on record, I'd probably do that. Don't know about Counterparts, though. I wasn't a big fan of Counterparts. Have you ever heard John and Vangelis, Mr. Caro? I know I have a few John and Vangelis, or Vangelis, or Vangelis, or however you pronounce his name. I don't know if I've heard Mr. Cario album, though. I'm trying to remember which one I've heard from them. It's good. I like them. I want to say, yes, Battery Acid was asking me what I thought about John Anderson's solo career. Love it. What is it? Solace of Sun Hollow is one of my all-time favorite albums of his. The albums that he did after that were fine. They were fine. But nowhere near as brilliant as Sun Hollow. Love Sun Hollow. Love it. Yeah, it was one of my all-time favorite albums. I remember telling one of my friends back in high school, like, if I could take an album to bed with me, Sun Hollow would be like top of the list. I loved it. Carfagan has has a great discography. Great. Strongly recommend Solitary Sandpaper Journey Next, one of their best albums. Oh, from Carfagan? All right, I'll do that. Tell us about your hi-fi that you use to listen to the records. I basically just have a Yamaha receiver with a Ion turntable. Not much. And then NAD speakers. That's all I got. I'm sorry. Animation is great. You should check it out. It's my second favorite. All right. I have to join an office Zoom meeting. That is a bummer. I'm so sorry. Big fan of Notes Review. Woo! Groups like Deer Hunter, Haken, and more. Golden Prog. I've gotten into thanks to you. I'm so glad. That I was able to open you up to some good stuff. And actually, Deer Hunter was opening up from you guys. So really, you should thank the community. That's really great. Yeah. Analog Kid is a great song from Signals. Yeah, there's a few, like, on each of their albums, there's still something really, really good from Rush, even if the album as a whole isn't great, if you know what I mean. It's not quite prog, William's saying, but Queen 2 is amazing, and it's the closest they got to prog. Yeah, Queen 2 is my dad's favorite Queen album, Mine, I keep going back and forth if I like sheer Heart Attack or Night at the Opera more. Night at the Opera only because of the nostalgia factor. Like I had that CD growing up. I remember I called into the local radio station when I was in grade 4 or 5 because they had this listener lunch thing. And I tried for like a good week while my dad was working from home to try to get a Bohemian Rhapsody to play on the radio. And I finally got through. And they're like, hello, this was in Barrie, so it was Rock 95. Shout out. They're like, welcome to Rock 95. What do you want to listen to? And I just, deer in the headlights, shut down. And I'm like, and they're like, hello, yes, you're on the air. What do you want to listen to? And then they hung up, and I broke down. I was like, complete stage fright, and like, it was the worst. And my dad was just like, encouraging me. He was like, yeah, Bohemian Rhapsody, Queen. And I'm like, eh. So for my birthday that year, my dad got me A Night at the Opera as a, well, if you didn't hear it on the radio, at least I can give you the CD. So that was cute. That was cute. So yeah, I kind of go back and forth as to that. Yes, I do know about that DSW. If you search my YouTube, you will find a in-depth review about the Legend soundtrack where Tangerine Dream was hired on last minute after Jerry Goldsmith wrote a complete score. So it was one of the few albums to have 2 scores. And in fact, for the original score, they had, I can't remember who wrote the song, but David Gilmour provides the guitar solo in that. So yeah, great call. Love that. That's one of my all-time favorite soundtracks, by the way. The Legend soundtrack from Tangerine Dream. Beautiful. I finally found it on record, and it was like $50, and I'm like, ooh, that's expensive, but worth it. So yeah. Let's see. I used to go in the background and listen to Yes with my friend Lucy in the Sky. Fun. Don't do drugs. Are there any albums that are kind of a mess but you still enjoy? Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, Spock Beer Snow, Octavarium fall into that category for me. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I would agree that for the most part, like, at least with Spock's Beard Snow and Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, they still have a unifying theme and feel throughout the whole thing. Octavarium doesn't, even though it's one of my all-time favorite albums. What is an album that's an absolute mess that I still love? Let me think. That's a good question. I really like that question. What's an album that's a mess that I love? You know what? I still really like, and I might get some flack for this, but I still, maybe it's just because I've got the poster hanging up in front of me, but the Parallax 2, the future sequence, it is a mess, especially by the end of it, where I think the concept just got way out of hand. Yeah, I think that one, but I still love it. Even though, like I said, by the end, it just becomes a giant mess. I'm trying to think of another one, though. Yeah, I know that the Mars Volta's first album, Deloused in, I always want to say Continuum, but I know it's not Continuum, it's like Crematorium, I think it is. I feel like that one's a little bit of a mess, only because there's no, like, it's all one stream of consciousness. And that, to me, is just, it's a little overbearing, but I still love that. So, yeah. Oh boy, we've got a lot of great questions. I'm not sure if you've heard Moron Police Kickstarter where you can buy a vinyl. Ooh, I might have to do that. Because Moron Police's Boat on a Sea was my second favorite album of that year. So, yeah. Let's see here. Lamb is half crap, but we can admit that yet. See, it's interesting because I've gone through different moods when it comes to the Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. When I first heard it, I loved the first album and couldn't get into the second album. And then when I got older, and this was like in university, so like 10 years had gone by, I really loved the second album. But the first album I thought was a little too generic, you know? So I still love the whole thing. But I know I'm just a Genesis fanboy, and like I'll stand them forever. But yeah. One of my favorite is the band Pato. I don't know that one. What would be your prog rock dream team? Marcelo. I know I've gotten this question before, and each time I kind of think about what my dream team would be, I essentially just recreate the bands that they already are in, because it really depends on what my mood is in, you know? And I know I've mentioned this before, especially when people were saying if you can create a supergroup. Like, there's my hypothetical, and then, like, actually putting it into practice would just be, like, a clash of personalities, right? Like, I would love to see somebody like, say, like, I would love to see Mike Portnoy team up, and this is going to sound so much of, like, a jerk-off kind of a answer, like a circle jerk kind of thing. Sorry getting so vulgar there, but, like, I would love to see, like, Mike Portnoy and Michael Eckefelt from Opeth do something with, say, like, Devin Townsend. But, like, the clash of personalities within that, like, I feel like Michael would have to be some kind of the glue with all of them. Because Mike and Devin, I have a feeling, would clash so hard. Like, both of their needs to have some kind of a control would just be so devastating. But I think they would produce some really, really interesting music. So yeah, that would kind of be up there. Now, if I could choose, like, anybody, oh man, you know what? You know what I would really, really love to see? I would really love. Well, I mean, I can't now because half of these people are dead. But, like, I would really, really love to see, like, Guthrie Govan on guitars. Is that the end of the album? Don't tell me that. I still have so much to tell you. Oh man, I talked right the way through all that. I'm sorry about that, guys. But you guys are asking too good questions. It's too many good questions. So anyway, I would love to see Chris Squire on bass, because he's one of my all-time favorite bass players, with Guthrie Govan on lead guitars. Then I would love to see, who would I put on drums? I mean, Bill Bruford is my favorite drummer. But you know what? Phil Collins from, like, the mid-70s. Like, we're looking at, like, 75, 77, like, Trick the Tail era. I want to see him, because he can also vocalize, right? Like, he and Chris are great backup singers. And the thing is, like, they elevated their main focal point. Like, I don't know if you've listened to the special edition of Close to the Edge, but there's a track on there that's just John Anderson's vocals without Chris, and it doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound good at all. So anyway, Chris and Phil having two backing up harmonizing, so we can have a 3-part harmony. Then I would have, who would I have? I don't want anybody with too big of a personality, because I want everybody to kind of get along. And I don't want to just recreate, like, Genesis with a few different people there. So Guthrie would definitely be on. You know what? If I had Marco Miniman, because I love Marco. If I had Marco as, like, lead drummer, and then Phil as, like, backup drummer for when it gets into those, like, really insane parts, and then have Phil be the lead singer, I could do that. I like that idea. Who am I missing? Ooh, keyboards. Who would I have on keyboards? There's so many good ones out there. But I want to make sure that they gel well with what I'm getting at here. I want somebody that's really able to get some, like, can hold their own, but also get some really good atmosphere. So I think I would put Rio from Spock's Beard on there. Yeah, I really like Rio. Either Rio, I'm trying to think of somebody that sings as well. Do I want Rio? Rio's really, really good. He does some really good stuff. Thomas Bodine also does some really good stuff. He was from Spock's Beard, and some of his solo stuff. Yeah, I think I would put Thomas on there. I mean, I know that the obvious one would be like, oh, put Rick Wakeman, put Jordan Rudess, but they're really good technically, but I want somebody that's able to get some really good atmosphere out there. So, yeah, I feel like I could go on forever on that one, but yeah. So that's kind of where I'm going. I know that I spent a lot of time on that one, but yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, there's a lot of talk about Trick of the Tail. I will agree that Trick of the Tail is better than Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. I still love Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. Selling England is still my favorite album of all time. Like, of all time. Dream Theater's 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence is another mess. Yeah, but I think that was the point. It would be, I think the first disc is very, sorry. I love the second disc, but I think every song on the first disc would be improved if it's too. I would also agree to that, only because on my record, they put Disappear at the beginning of the second disc. And I don't like it because I don't want to listen to, I want to listen to the whole suite of 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence, and I don't want to have to start it off with Disappear. So yeah. Who's the hottest Yes member, in my opinion? Ooh, that's a good question. That's a good question. Now, I am going with what they look like in the 70s. Boy, you know what? Alan White was a looker. Alan White was a damn fine man. Yeah, I'd have to go with Alan White. I think he's definitely, he's the whole package. He's the whole package. Trespass, Nursery Crimes, Foxtrot, Selling England, and Trick of the Tail are better than Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. Well, yeah, okay. I can see that. Foxtrot is the best album. Yeah, I know, was it Sea of Tranquility? He put Foxtrot as being the best. I don't know if I would agree. I still think that I like I like Trick of the Tail, and I like Selling England a little bit more, but Foxtrot is definitely up there. Rio's a great choice. Thank you. Mark Kelly from Marillion. Why didn't I think of Mark Kelly? Yeah. I mean, I would really love to see Pete Travis on bass as well, but Chris Squire's still he's an angel, man. Still an angel. What are your thoughts on African Language's second album? I don't know. I haven't... Who's the keyboardist from IQ? They went through a couple. My favorite was Martin. He was the one from, like... I think he left after Dark Matter, but I love his work. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I also love Mike Holmes. I think that's his name. The lead guitarist. His guitar work is phenomenal. I don't think he really gets the credit he deserves. I haven't heard anything really, really good from him since Dark Matter. Like, I still think his best performances are found on Ever and the Seventh House. But, yeah, that's a good point. Hottest Genesis member. Best to worst. Oh, jeez. Well, you gotta do this. Okay. Let me see here. I mean, they're all good. They all can get it. It really depends on what you like, right? Like, Tony's the strong silent type, right? Phil is the goofball. Mike Rutherford is just the tall drink of water, and we're all thirsty. Steve Hackett is also the very reserved, strong silent type. And then Peter is just, like, seduction on legs, right? So, Anthony Phillips is also really, really good, too. Like, he's definitely much more of that strong silent type of, like, the very meek one. I mean, that's why he couldn't make it, right? Because of the stage fright. Oh, man. That's hard. I can't say which one would be, like... Yeah, it really depends on what you want to go for. I probably still have to go with Steve Hackett with that beard, the 70s beard, you know, that thick one. That's something you can grab onto. Yeah. Why don't you make reviews of prog power band albums? Because I don't listen to them. Sorry, that's all I gotta say. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap this thing up, guys. I would love to stick around and talk a little bit more, but I did kind of say that I was only going to listen to the first 2 points. So, yeah. Well, I'll play it out. I'll play it, like, I'll at least play this particular piece out. Because there's only a few tracks left. Or, sorry, a few minutes left. Oh, excuse me. Because this is Remembering the Future, the radio edition. Kind of like how Thick as a Brick has like a radio edition that's like 3 minutes long, even though the actual piece is like 40. So I'm gonna thank all my patrons again as we finish off this evening. I guess again, this one's going out to Brent. Thank you so much, man. It really, really does mean a lot. As you guys know, this has been a little bit of a tough time for me. So Brent was gracious enough to help out a little bit, and every little bit helps. So thank you so much, Brent. Had a really good time this evening, so I'm glad we were able to do this. And I want to thank all my other patrons, starting from the bottom going up. And this is just in basically time. So Sean, William, Patrick, Robert, Brent, Didier, Battery Acid, who I believe I saw in the chat there, Depanjan, Austin Brown, T-Dog, Mark, Thomas, Calvin, Travis, Joseph, Axel, Jeffrey, Brian, Grace, Mark, Brian, Charles, Joseph, GRV, Rush 2112, Joggin Trum, Chris H. Hemulin, Bryson, Ted, Kevin, Rick, Anthony, Isaac, Andreas, Aiden, and Matthew. Thank you guys so much. It really does mean a lot. If you guys want to be cool like these awesome people, I've left my my link below to support me. Even $1 a month is it really does help. And Brent was gracious enough to donate. Yeah, you should also check out Brent's reviews. He does some amazing progressive rock reviews. Super intelligent, super insightful. The man knows his stuff. He can talk, talk like circles around me, essentially. I always just fall back to the same tropes over and over and over again. This man is very extremely, see, there I go, articulate in his reviews. So definitely go and check him out. So show some support his way. He does some amazing stuff and extremely passionate. So yeah, back to the moneymaker as I sign off for this evening. I'm going to do one last look to make sure that I've covered everything. Japanese power metal band called Hallucinage, very good, give them a listen. Small Break, great album ranking shows. Very cool. Hope you have a good rest of your night. I'll be looking forward to the next streams and videos. All right, we're going to call it a night. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, you guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.